What's up everybody, how's it going? It's Berk, aka Dan's Great here, and welcome to this update video which will hopefully give you guys some important information about the ongoing content on the channel and some of the content that is still to come over the next few weeks and months. So without much further ado, let me get straight into it because there have been some things building up and I think it's going to be nice to sort of clear all of this out and give you guys the info that you need going forward. So let's begin with the one that's going to be relevant nearest to the publishing of this video, and that is the next Final Fantasy X live stream randomizer. So I've done 5 consistent live stream sessions in a row, which for me is a big deal, but I have been doing it, and for the last 5 times I've managed to do it on schedule and we've had a good time and the series has been a lot of fun. Both the live stuff and the VODs that have been published afterwards, they seem to be doing well, and so hopefully everybody is happy with how that is progressing. Now, this is the first time I'm not able to meet the schedule because I will be in Istanbul for 6 or 7 days. I have a window of time before the release of Rebirth and I want to see some friends and family out there and just continue sort of my editing work out there. But I can't do any live streaming. I don't really have the setup to do that. It's just going to be mostly kind of editing and admin work while I'm there for that week. So randomizer live stream viewers, you guys are going to have to wait another week. And so hopefully I will be continuing that on Tuesday the 20th of February at the usual time of around 1:30 PM UK time. So that's the randomizer update. Apologies for not being able to do it, but hopefully it's not going to be too bad. And anyone that's been catching up on the VODs for those, at least you get another week to really get up to speed before we continue with the story. So that's the Final Fantasy X randomizer. The second thing is basically going to be generally about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, of course. Now, first off, I'll talk about some content that I did record for it that's from Final Fantasy VII Remake. And what I wanted to do was basically warm myself back up a little bit for the gameplay of Rebirth. Now, you're going to say, you've been doing these previews, you've got to play the game already, why do you need to warm up? Well, the previews have been really cool and I've loved doing them and it's been like a great opportunity for me. But they have been very early parts of the game, very tutorial heavy, cutscene, exposition, getting to grips with like the towns, exploring, all of that kind of stuff. And so when it comes to like actual combat, I wouldn't say that I have that much kind of experience, or especially anything beyond like the tutorial and the most basic kind of battles. I haven't got that much sort of experience. And so I thought to myself, you know what? Back in the summer of 2021, we had the Intermission DLC. And for that, there were going to be some sort of Shinra simulator missions for Yuffie and Sonon. And they also released the Weiss super boss for like the Shinra simulator in the main game. And at the time, I'd said I'm kind of done with the DLC. I had a good time. Want to take a little break and I will try to do these bosses before the next game comes out. And because time goes by so quickly, it's already been almost 3 years since I did that and it's time to revisit that. So I spent this week going back to Final Fantasy VII Remake and the DLC, and I did the missions with Yuffie and Sonon and I did the Weiss mission in Remake, and whew, it was a hell of a ride. Like it was one of the most difficult boss battle related things I've done in Final Fantasy. So instead of the usual stream VODs that will be up next week, I'm probably going to be uploading 3 or 4 episodes of Final Fantasy VII Remake kind of super bosses and difficult bosses that I missed out on so far. And so hopefully you guys will enjoy that in the run up to Rebirth, and that is something I'll be sharing with you guys pretty soon. If you enjoy watching me trying to fight very difficult bosses, it's going to be an interesting one. I will say I didn't do live commentary for all of it because it was one of those where I kind of quickly realized that my levels were very bad and like my general skill, my approach, everything was so far off base for what I needed to do to defeat these really difficult bosses. I had to take some time off and sort of get my stats higher, improve some of my materia and that kind of thing, and I needed a lot of repeat attempts. So it's going to be a bit of a voiceover style one, but I'm looking forward to sharing with you guys how that whole experience went and how I ultimately ended up defeating those bosses. So look forward to that in the coming week or 2. And so, Rebirth itself, where are we at? I did release a preview video that hopefully some of you guys saw, but I obviously generally understand the sentiment that a lot of people do not want to see anything about the game. And so people in my position are having a bit of a difficult time right now because we want to obviously share whatever content we're allowed to with the game. We want to help build up hype. People who are on the fence about whether they want to try the game or not, perhaps our experiences will help them make a decision. And so we kind of have a job to do and a responsibility to the fandom to try to share what we're experiencing. And so that's sort of one side of the coin. But the other side is that obviously as fans, we want to not be spoiled too much on the game. Now, Square Enix apparently have already been doing a great job with spoiling a lot of stuff. and apparently their state of play slash the last trailer they did was very spoilery, and so I've not seen those, thankfully. I've basically, other than the earlier trailers and up to chapter 2, I don't know anything more about the game really, and so I kind of prefer to keep it that way. But in terms of content, there's a preview, so that one, it doesn't contain any like big story scenes, doesn't contain any like major boss battles that happen in that chapter. There's nothing going on like that. It's a little bit of town exploration, and it's a little bit of basically more open world exploration kind of thing. So if that's something that's not too spoilery for you, definitely check it out. But if that's already too much as well, no worries, just wait until the game comes out, but just be very careful, which is something I will circle back to in a minute. So, what to expect on this channel in terms of content? As of this point, I don't know when I will get a review copy of the game. So, in that sense, it's very difficult for me to plan content. Sometimes you get lucky and you get the game very early, like so early that you can basically do a complete playthrough of the game before it even releases, and that opens up the door for a lot of stuff that you can see on like a repeat playthrough, being able to use chapter select and all of that kind of stuff. And so, if I have enough time to do that, then there's a lot more content I can do around release, as opposed to just playing through the game. And so as of this point, I really don't know. We will have to see. What will obviously be happening is, as soon as I'm allowed to, as soon as Square Enix gives me the green light, I will begin to share my playthrough of the game. It looks like it's going to be a big game. There's going to be a lot to do, there's going to be a lot to see, and I'm hoping it's going to be even a little bit better than Remake, which I was already a big fan of. So the next few months, basically into summertime, there is going to be regular Final Fantasy VII Rebirth content on the channel. Primarily, of course, the playthrough, but we will see if there's any other content that I'm interested in making. There might be a few things I can share that's kind of non-commentary, some compilations, some helpful stuff that could be useful for players like looking for things. So for example, let's say, I don't know, Gold Saucer, if there is the option to date all of the characters, and I have enough time to prepare like a compilation showing all of the different dates, I might do some of that type of content as well alongside my usual LP material. If I've completed the game basically at release or around release, I might try and do like a short spoiler-free kind of review. It's all up in the air right now, we will see what's going to happen. The game comes out on February the 29th, but usually the content embargoes tend to be whenever it's like midnight in New Zealand. So whichever country is the first one to go into the 29th, that's when the content embargo tends to be. So for many of us, it will still be the 28th when I'm able to upload content. If Square Enix allow me to upload anything before that, then I will. So it's just something you're going to have to wait and see on the channel. But hopefully, especially with part 1, anyone that's watching this video, even if you're going to save it for later, I would definitely appreciate you guys dropping a like, maybe dropping a comment, leaving it running for a little bit, something like that. Just give me that little extra boost to help me try and, like, you know, get out of the gate strong and help to basically get the content out of the Dansgo 8 kind of small sphere. A lot of you guys, you've discovered this channel and this content because of videos that were able to transcend that small core audience that I have. And so if you'd like other people to find this channel as well and enjoy what I have to offer, then please do support part 1 of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I would really appreciate it. In terms of the Rebirth demo, I know people are wondering if I'm going to play it or not. I wasn't exactly sure what the demo contained. I didn't know if it was what I'd already played. I had 2 different previews, and originally I thought it was preview 1. If it was preview 1, then I was planning to basically live stream the demo, because I'd already played it anyway, and it's basically they're short enough segments of the overall game that it's disconnected enough that I could just upload the demo and then just upload LP part 1 as normal afterwards. But I've watched 1 or 2 other people's uploads just to see like what is the content for the demo, and it seems more like what I played in my second preview, which was where I literally just got to start a new game and play through chapter 1 and 2. So as it stands, it looks to my eye, having scanned through it, not looked in detail but scanned, the demo is basically a lot of what chapter 1 is. And so it feels like if I live stream the demo, it would have been the second time I played it already, and then when I do LP part 1, it would have been the third time, and viewers will basically kind of watch the same thing twice, and I would have played the same thing 3 times, and it doesn't really feel like the best kind of way to tackle it. What I might do, I have heard that there is basically the later section. So if you watched the first preview that I did for Rebirth, there was a section that's near Junon, which is slightly more open world, but it's fairly self-contained, it's disconnected from the story, and maybe in that one we can kind of just play around, get a bit of hype going, and just hang out a little bit before the main LP begins on the channel. So I won't be playing the current demo because that focuses a lot on Chapter 1, and so we will see how that goes in the future. I may play through the second kind of extra content that they share for the demo in the next couple of weeks or so. So that's all I wanted to share about the Rebirth demo for anyone wondering if it will play on the channel. This brings me to spoilers. Now, in the last few years, I tried to do a PSA every time before I start a playthrough of like a major Final Fantasy game. There will be spoilers, because if we're looking at it in the most sort of objective sense of the word, anytime I share what's happening in a video in the title or in the thumbnail, that is a spoiler. And so obviously one of the big things that we're all wondering in Rebirth is what's going to happen with Aerith. Now, obviously I'm not going to have a title where I say, this is what happened to Aerith in this episode, or show what happened to Aerith literally in the thumbnail. I'm not going to spoil you guys like that. But let's say there's a Sephiroth boss battle. You're going to see Sephiroth's face and it's going to say Sephiroth boss battle. If there's a Dyne boss battle, you're going to see Dyne. That's just how I do things. That's my job. I need people to find the videos that they're looking for. And so it's the same way that it's been since the day I started LPing basically 12 years ago. You're going to be seeing that type of stuff. So if you want to keep away from that, I would basically say either use YouTube's signed out, which doesn't have a watch history of any gaming or Final Fantasy content so that you don't get it appearing in your feeds. You won't have subscriptions to channels like mine, so it won't be my stuff coming up in your feeds. You really need to take some precautions to try and protect yourself from that kind of spoilers. Other than my channel just trying to do my job and upload a playthrough of the game, there's obviously going to be people that are going to try to benefit from the hype, and they're going to share, for example, whatever deaths there might be in the game. That is going to be posted as soon as people are allowed to post it. So if you really want to stay away from this stuff, you have to be very careful. It might not be enough, but I'm just trying to sort of warn you guys. Even if it's to my detriment to some degree, I want people to kind of preserve their experience and at least avoid the biggest spoilers that are going to be present in the game. So please guys, like on social media, if there's pages that you know have a risk of sharing spoilers, mute them, unfollow them temporarily. There's stuff like muted words that you can use, so like you can literally mute Final Fantasy, you can mute Aerith, you can mute Sephiroth. Try to do your best to protect yourself from spoilers. If you don't care too much, that's great, but I know that a lot of people are going to be kind of upset if they get any kind of big spoilers. I would be, and so let's just try and do our best to protect ourselves from that. So that's what I'm doing from my end of things. That's what to expect. I will be uploading the walkthrough as soon as I'm able to, and doing it the same way that I've always done for all of my content. So just be warned, and if that's something that you need to stay away from, please take precautions. I'm letting you guys know in advance. So don't come to me on episode 1 saying spoilers, or episode 3 spoilers. It's going to be the same type of content as it's been for all of these years. But of course, I will do my best. Even in Final Fantasy 7, the OG, the Aerith and Sephiroth episode, I did not say anything about what happens to Aerith in that episode. Anyone who's played the game will know that that's the episode where the thing happens, but it wasn't like I didn't embellish it in the title or in the thumbnail. So that's what I would try to do on my end. Or if there's any like big surprises, like something really wacky happens that no one would have expected, obviously I'll do my best to shield you guys from that and hide any kind of reveals like that. So I think that was important to mention. In the run-up to Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, we currently have the Final Fantasy 13 challenge ongoing. Thank you so much to everyone that's been watching that one. It's performed really well. I'm glad you guys have enjoyed it, and it's been really nice to put some Final Fantasy 13 on there. Obviously, so much of the crowd wants to see 7, 8, 9, and 10. And as someone who is a fan of 13, it's nice for me to share something outside of that block and for it to get some love on the channel as well. So I really do appreciate it. That will conclude before Rebirth launches. If I'm allowed to start uploading Rebirth a little bit earlier, it might clash a little bit, but I basically have it sort of recorded, edited, prepped, and scheduled to be uploaded before Rebirth begins. So it will wrap up before then. If by the end of that challenge I think there's enough demand to see anything more from that challenge, then I might kind of continue it in the future. But the general question of can I escape Grand Pulse will be answered before the 29th of February. So you guys will get to see the conclusion of that this month. The final thing I want to talk about is non-Final Fantasy content, because at the moment it has been really Final Fantasy heavy. I always try to do the non-Final Fantasy stuff. Dead Space finished in January at some point, and my plan was basically before the end of January I was actually going to start playing Sekiro on the channel. Then, as of about mid-January, especially on social media, on the Reddits and all of that kind of stuff, the rumors and the data mining and all of that stuff for the Elden Ring DLC got stronger and stronger. And since it's already been so long since the game came out, there was a lot of strong speculation that we might see an announcement / release for February / March of this year. And so what I didn't want was, I'm already going to be very busy with Rebirth and like Final Fantasy VIII Attack Only, the live stream, the VODs. I didn't want to add both Sekiro and Elden Ring DLC to that as well. It would have been too much. And so what I didn't want was a clash. I thought if I'm unlucky and I start uploading Sekiro and I do like 5 episodes, and then they announce the Elden Ring DLC, that's going to just be a really bad kind of pile up of content, and I'm going to have to sacrifice something. And I didn't want to do that. So I thought, let me delay Sekiro for a little bit. The channel's already busy as it is. Let's just see if this Elden Ring DLC is going to drop. And if it doesn't, then we'll get into Sekiro and start playing through it on the channel. Now, there's been a spanner in the works, because literally yesterday I read something about the parent company of FromSoft released its financial reports. And I believe in there was literally a line about Elden Ring DLC expecting to be a medium to long-term revenue stream for them or something. And obviously a lot of speculation started to appear about, oh, so maybe the Elden Ring DLC is actually further away than we thought. Maybe it's not even this year. And because FromSoft themselves have been very tight-lipped about it, at this point, I personally just have no idea if we're going to see it in March or we're going to see it in like March 2025. And so what I decided to do was basically wait until that first kind of tsunami of 7 Rebirth dies down. And once that happens, then hopefully I should have a little bit more time. Things will calm down on the channel. And then I can get going with Sekiro if we still don't have an announcement for Elden Ring DLC by like the first couple of weeks of March or something along those lines. So there will be non-Final Fantasy content resuming on the channel, but I just need a little bit of time. It's a very dense Final Fantasy period at the moment, but there will be some more stuff to come in the future. So those are the general updates I wanted to share. Hope you guys are enjoying all of the content so far. We have a lot of things on the go, and I'm enjoying making all of them. They're all kind of different in their own way. And so I've really been enjoying playing through and sharing with you guys what I've been up to for the last couple of months or so. There is one very secret piece of content that has kind of been on the back burner. I spent a lot of time working on it like 3 or 4 months ago, but things got hectic with other work, and so I've kind of left it. It's a very wacky, very out of left field video. It's like nothing I've uploaded for a very long time. I do sometimes have these like creative impulses where I feel like I have to do something a bit different. Even if it gets like 1,000 views, it's just something different, and it's something I wanted to do, and I've had a lot of fun trying to do at this point. But I can't really say anything about it yet, because it still needs a bit of work before it's ready and it's finished. But once it is, do look out for it. I might drop a trailer / teaser for it first, and you might just watch it and think, what the hell is this? But it might end up being a very cool video. So definitely look out for that one on the channel. Hopefully in the next like month or 2. I'd love to release something about that. So that's all of the updates for now. I will see you guys soon. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy all of the content that's to come over the next few weeks and months. Take care.